morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Wherever you are in the world, welcome and thank you for joining us. This is AutoVision News Radio at AutoSens and InCabin USA 2025 from the Huntington Place in downtown Detroit. We are joined by Daniel Shwartzberg, Director of Business Development and Systems Solutions at Valens Semiconductor. In this role, Daniel is responsible for ensuring customer success at the technical level, working with OEMs and Tier 1s worldwide to bring innovative next-gen EE architectures to the market. Previously, Daniel led the company's technical marketing activities to define the requirements of the next generations of HD-based-T chipsets, both for the automotive and audio-visual markets. He brings more than 30 years of experience predominantly within the semiconductor industry. Over the course of my many enjoyable interviews and discussions with Daniel, he has taken me through the history of MIPI A-PHY. He's helped me understand the importance of that standard and how the automotive industry can continue to leverage and embrace it. Daniel holds a master's degree in Daniel holds a master's degree in electrical engineering and a bachelor's degree with honors in electrical and electronic engineering from the University of Hertfordshire in the United Kingdom. Daniel, welcome. Thank you for being with us.
Thanks so much, Carl, for that introduction. It's always great to see you. Another year passes and here we are once again. And well done with Hertfordshire. That's, even for Brits, that's a hard one to pull off. So I respect your abilities to do that.
Yeah, I got confused in master's degree in engineering and a bachelor's degree with honors in electrical and electronic engineering. There, I said it right.
You did it perfectly. I've gotten to the age now I don't even remember doing any of that studying, to be perfectly truthful. So, but anyway, it's really great to see you and I appreciate that warm introduction. Thank you.
Indeed. On April 2nd, 2025, it was announced that Mobileye selected the VA7000 series chipsets from Valens Semiconductor for its autonomous driving programs. Of note here is how the VA7000 series chipsets from Valens are A-PHY compliant, designed from the ground up to withstand harsh EMC and environmental interferences. Daniel, tell us more about this announcement with Mobileye and how did everything come together?
So, I mean, yeah, you and I have been talking now for several years about MIPI A-PHY, and you're well aware, and I'm sure everybody out there is as well, as the benefits it brings, and we begin to see that now really playing out in the industry. Now, I need to be careful. I always like to give you as much information as I can. I need to be a little bit careful about how much I reveal, but let's put it this way. So the backstory to that announcement is that a very well-known European OEM had a big interest in A-PHY technology, and they approached Mobileye and said, do some analysis for us, do some investigative work, do some technical due diligence, and let us know what you think. So Mobileye went along that way, and I mean, I think I can quite simply say we're blown away by the performance that A-PHY brings them. And now we see that playing out together with Mobileye's IQ6H platform. So that's their newer chipset, intended for level 2++, level 3, level 4 architectures in several versions of the platform. So basically that led them to realize that A-PHY was the technology that they needed to get those platforms to market. Because if you think about it, they have great technology, but you need to have good data coming in order to really maximize what that technology can do. And A-PHY guarantees them packet error rates of 10 to the minus 19, orders of magnitude more than competing solutions. So they can rest assured that the data coming in is error-free. It's very high bandwidth. It's over long, simple cabling, which benefits, of course, also the OEMs and the other tier ones who are part of this activity. And that brings that technology to market. So yes, they were requested to test it, they tested it, they were super impressed, and that basically opened the door for this very, very positive endorsement for both Valens VA7000 chipsets, but for A-PHY as a technology in general.
Daniel, as we have spoken many times before, MIPI A-PHY is the first automotive industry standard developed for high-speed sensor and display connectivity. How does Mobileye's endorsement then reshape this entire high-speed connectivity landscape?
Absolutely. So as you say, MIPI is a big standardization body, more than 400 members the last time I checked, and around about 50% of them already in automotive, but let's just not forget that A-PHY was also adopted by the IEEE, right? So it's defined and written and spec'd by MIPI, adopted by the IEEE, two enormous standardization bodies here who are backing pushing this technology. So if you're talking about open standards, it doesn't get much more open than that.
Sure.
And of course now, so we have Mobileye, who are really a leader, a transformative leader in their space, in the space of ADAS systems, and as you move higher and higher through those SAE levels on the way to the ultimate goal of autonomous driving.
Right.
So here we have this very, very positive force in the market, a market leader transforming the way those systems are working, partnering with a great technology, the Valens VA7000 A-PHY compliant chipsets, and to bring what is really an extremely powerful winning solution to the market.
Right.
So for sure, I mean, we've already got the first 3 OEM design wins. We talked about that last time.
Yes.
And this is now, I'm convinced, going to open the door to even more. And in fact, if you read the quote in that PR from April, if you read the quote from Elhanan, who is one of their SVPs of engineering, he's convinced that this is now a huge enabler for Mobileye to get beyond these first OEM design wins to many more around the world. As I mentioned, it started in Europe, but it doesn't mean it's going to end in Europe, these design wins.
And staying with that theme, Daniel, of around the globe, China is adopting the A-PHY standard. Is that what you're seeing as well? And how does that then compare to the European and North American automotive markets?
So it's a very good question. It's a very good point. And again, I don't like to label particular countries or particular regions in terms of how they progress with technologies. But I think the proof of the pudding is in the eating, as we like to say in the UK, at least. I don't know if that works over this side of the pond. But the proof of the pudding really is in the eating, because when you look what's happening in China, the OEMs there move very, very, very quickly.
Yes.
I would suggest that they are more willing to take risk in order to achieve market progress and to win market share.
Right.
And without doubt, we have heard and we see with our own eyes that Chinese OEMs are heading in the direction of A-PHY. I've heard that from tier ones. I've heard that from OEMs.
Sure.
And that is actually backed up by the fact that if we look at the A-PHY ecosystem that we always like to talk about, because it's such a crucial part of getting a technology to market, is ecosystem. You will see now multiple Chinese companies bringing silicon online that is compliant to the MIPI A-PHY standard. Okay, so I think we can count maybe 7 of them. Okay, 7 Chinese vendors now doing, producing, or in the process of producing A-PHY compliant chipsets. And what's beautiful, it's a standard, and everything interoperates, right? So of course, I want people to buy chipsets from Valens, but if they want to buy some from Valens and some from another vendor, they can, and they can rest assured that it interops. Now, we've been doing that, we've actually been doing some interoperability testing with many of those companies that I just mentioned, and the results are already amazing, right? We already begin to see the industry dream of an interoperable ecosystem at the silicon level, an interoperable SerDes silicon ecosystem emerging in front of our eyes. We're happy to be part of that. There was another huge announcement from that last interoperability test from OmniVision, because a key benefit of being a standard is that anybody who has access to it, and like I said, MIPI and IEEE members have access to it, anyone who has access to it and who is making their own silicon can now actually integrate A-PHY directly into their silicon. And where does this really play out is with the image sensor. So if we think about a camera, it's pretty small. You've seen that they're getting smaller and smaller. They are also zero airflow, which means that any heat generated needs to be passively passed on, passively got rid of, passively cooled away. And so the integration only possible with a standard, because proprietary technologies, you can't have access to them, they're proprietary, but with a standard, that integration means that now you take away a serializer chip, a transmitter chip from the camera, meaning the camera can be smaller, lower powered, easier to build, easier to test, which means lower cost. And OmniVision are now the second company who have publicly stated that they are doing that integration. And once again, there was a wonderful quote from that press release from one of their directors saying this is a huge enabler for our customers and for the OEMs. And of course, OmniVision are the second. The first was Sony Semiconductor. We've already had several press releases with them about interoperability, about even EMC testing. So yes, the bottom line is that China is definitely heading in the direction of AFI, backed up by silicon vendors doing so, backed up by things that we are hearing. Again, I can't tell you what I'm hearing, but we're hearing about OEMs moving in the direction of AFI in China, and possibly even the first design win over there as well.
Daniel, as the momentum continues to build around AFI, your booth here at AutoSens USA 2025, you're showcasing a unique feature of your chipsets that I've not seen anywhere else. Built-in advanced diagnostics, your display has 4 cables you walked me through. Tell us about that demo and then why that diagnostic feature is so important.
Wow, and you're right. And I think it's more evidence of why AFI itself is truly transformative. Again, it's a move from a proprietary to standard technology, but it's also a move from analog-based systems to a DSP-based, a digital-based system. So we have hardwired into the silicon DSP, digital signal processing algorithms, to do things like noise cancellation and handle things like physical air retransmission and all sorts of goodies that enable us to get to this crazy packet error rate of 10 to the minus 19, orders of magnitude better than other things on the market. Now, we can reuse some of those mechanisms, not for their day-to-day job, but actually to do pretty advanced diagnostics. So in other words, we're not adding to the system, we're not adding to the silicon, we're not adding to the board. Built into the silicon is the ability to detect things like open circuits in the cable. That could be, if you have, let's say, a coax cable where you have a center core and then a shield around it. If the shield is broken or the center core is broken, we can detect that. Or we can detect if both of them is broken. Maybe a connector came apart or was crushed. So we can detect open circuits. We can detect short circuits. And in fact, we can even detect if the link is, I mean, those by the way, are fairly obvious. The camera will not work.
Sure.
Okay. Now, you may have a camera that's working, but as we know, as cables and connectors age, their impedance is changing.
Right.
And we can detect a change of impedance before the link actually fails. So you may think everything's great in my system, my camera's all working fine, but the cable is degrading, and who knows, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, it's going to fail. Why is that important? The ability to do all of these things, all of this diagnostics, means that when an issue occurs, when there's a problem in the field, the car can come in and it's very easy to diagnose what it is, okay? It's even easy to diagnose the failure, like I said, the impedance before it happens, meaning that an OEM can do kind of a quiet recall. The car can come in for regular service, they check the diagnostics, they see that the cable is aging, they replace it under warranty without the customer even knowing. Quiet recall.
Right.
But OEMs don't like recall. So from a diagnostics point of view, that's very important. But there's even more capabilities in the system. Because of the mechanisms, those DSP mechanisms we have built in, not only can we detect the fault, but we can tell you where along the cable run it is. Okay, now, how do we do that? We have a mechanism which is called an echo canceller, which for day-to-day operation of the link is needed just to take away reflections, because as you send the signal down a cable, whenever it needs a change of impedance, it could be an inline connector, signal is reflected back, and we need to take that away because we transmit and receive on the same wire. That reflected signal will now come back with the actual data we're receiving, and if we don't take away the echo, as we'll call it, the reflection, it's going to make things difficult to recover the data. So that's a regular operation of the link. Now we can use that to send pulses down and then to measure the time it takes to come back. And by doing this, I can tell you, Carl, to an accuracy of about, 6 inches, 8 inches, 10, 15 centimeters, something like that. I can tell you where along your 15-meter cable run with maybe 4 inline connectors is your problem. And why is that important? I think you know the answer, but let's face it, when you get into your car, you do not see your wire harness, because it's hidden behind the plastic trim and it's under the carpet and it's behind the dash and it's underneath the headlining. Right. Now, without knowing where the problem is in the cable, you're going to have to strip out all of that stuff that I just talked about in order to find out, oh, there's the problem. Now I can say that in the garage, in the workshop, they'll run the diagnostics, they'll say, okay, 2.7 feet from the ECU, that's where your problem is. They look at the wiring diagram, that brings us in the footwell on the back seat on the right hand side. That's where they pull up the carpet, that's where they find the fault. Excuse me. And that means that they can have shorter time to fix, easier time to fix, less cost.
Amazing, amazing.
And really, as I say, it's all built in. You don't add anything to the circuit board.
Yeah.
It's just there, available to you with very, very high accuracy to find multiple faults in the location.
And that was what was really striking to me. When you ran the diagnostics and the blue screen is running and it comes up and it's X number of meters away, and you said, Carl, that's it, that's the failure point. And as a technician in the shop or as a service advisor, I could tell my technician, this is where you need to look
Exactly.
first. You know?
And I think we've all been to the shop where they've started taking things out of the car, and without wishing to belittle the great work they do, not always when they put them back is it the same level of quality that it was when the vehicle was built. Believe me, I have squeaks and rattles in my car from I don't know what they did, but it's not meant to be like that. So the less you have to take away to get to fix the problem,
Right.
I think we'll all agree that's a good thing.
Right. Daniel, from all of the work with MIPI A5, from your chipsets to the demonstrations that you're showing here, what do you enjoy most about your work at Valens?
Well, first of all, talking to you, each and every one of these things, Carl. But I mean, in addition to that, we have great technology.
Yeah.
And I'm extremely passionate about it. You may pick up on the excitement I get when I talk to you about it.
Yeah.
So to be able to go to a customer, to a potential partner with a technology that you so believe in,
Yes.
and that you enjoy sharing with
Yes.
somebody else,
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah.
Just, get me out of the office, get me in front of people, and let me really talk about what I love. And I'm really passionate about this technology. I truly believe in it. I've worked in other companies, maybe I've less believed in it. But here, when you really believe in something, I think people pick up on that. And that's why we're seeing the successes that we're having. It's not all because of me. I'm not going to take credit for things that I cannot take credit. But I hope in my way, with the customers that I'm meeting, that I'm helping to evangelize the technology and the products we have. And like I say, we're seeing very, very good traction, building 3 OEM design wins, very, very big announcement with Mobileye.
Yes.
You see the ecosystem of A5 growing.
Yes.
And for me, just to be a small cog in that enormous machine, that really does make my day.
To that end, Daniel has recently written a blog post which is available on the Valens Semiconductor website. It expands a lot on what we've been discussing here. So the article that Daniel writes, it expands on the impact of EMC on mission critical applications like automotive, the rising cost of EMC failures in the automotive industry, and then later in that article, Daniel goes into a detailed analysis of how the Valens chipsets are able to withstand 20 times more noise when compared to a legacy solutions. Daniel also includes diagrams of that head-to-head analysis. So, Daniel, I don't have a follow-up question here with this, other than to say it was a very well-written article. It's an example of why I have the utmost respect for you as an automotive professional, why I enjoy following Valens on LinkedIn, and I enjoy seeing your colleagues at all kinds of different industry events all over the world showcasing technical innovations that really do matter and really do make a difference to people.
First of all, I'm blushing. Thank you, Carl. I appreciate those warm words. And yeah, I mean, if I can just bounce back praise, I think that the work you do for our industry in bringing what people need to hear, in disseminating the information that's so important to make sure people in this wonderful industry understand where things are. The work you do is outstanding, and you and your team, and I cannot praise you enough. And like I say, I love it. Every time we get together and we chat, we always find good things to talk about. So thank you once again for those very warm words, but again, right back at you.
Indeed, friend. Daniel Shwartzberg, Director of Business Development and System Solutions at Valens Semiconductor. From all of us here at AutoSens and InCabin, thank you, Daniel, for sharing your expertise. Have a great rest of the show. Safe travels back home. We'll do this again sometime soon.
I'm looking forward to it already. Thanks, Carl.
From the Huntington Place in downtown Detroit for AutoSens and InCabin USA 2025, I'm Carl Anthony, AutoVision News Radio.